So here we are. These are all my shoes. Well, and those back there, and a few more up there on the shelf that we didn't take down, and I probably have a few more at home. But these are most of all of my shoes, and I'm gonna talk you through kind of my journey here and show you each and every one of these pairs, talk a little bit about who made them and what makes them special. I'm gonna start with the first pair of shoes that I ever had made, and that is these St. Crispins right here. This was the first pair of shoes I had made, and the first pair that I would call custom. Now, it's an interesting shoe. It was nicknamed the Mullet Shoe. You know, business in the front, party in the back. I kind of hate that nickname, but it's kind of funny whenever you look at this. But this is one of my favorite pair of shoes. I get a lot of wear out of it. It's a beautiful kind of crust leather that is hand-dyed at the factory. Captoe Semi-Brogue with a calfskin in the front and suede in the back. And this shoe is really beautiful. Again, I've got the initials at the bottom, toe taps, and a really beautiful pair of shoes. So this, I'd say, was really kind of the beginning of this journey in a lot of ways. Let's go from there to really what was my first pair of bespoke shoes. These George Cleverley. These are Wholecuts. It's not a seamless, it's a burgundy hole cut with a medallion. It's got some burgundy laces. These are sovereign grade laces I put on there. And this was my first pair of shoes I had made all the way back in 2012. But I think I made a mistake whenever I had these commissioned, and anyone that's been watching this channel could probably tell you what that mistake was. I've got something interesting and that caught the eye. It's a great pair of shoes, but let's be honest, it's not as versatile as a black pair of, say, Captoe Oxfords. I'm a huge proponent that if you're investing the money in a bespoke pair of shoes, you should really strive to have them made as conservatively and as classically as possible, because that will ensure you to get the most value out of them. And as much as I love these shoes, I just don't wear them as much as I wear my more traditional shoes like my Captoes. But beautiful pair of shoes, again, exquisitely made, you know, great kind of nice kind of tight waist. Again, some nailing right here. A beautiful finish. So there we go. First pair of bespoke shoes, George Cleverley. Hole cuts, not seamless, but hole cuts. Up next at number 2 for Cleverley are these brown Burgundy pigskin casuals. Now, my thinking between these was that I had a Oxford last made, and so I wanted to have a casual last made. So whenever you're having bespoke shoes made, the Captoe or a lace-up last is a completely different last, and a last being the block of wood that is carved to represent your foot around which the shoe is made. And so I figured that with my second pair, I would have a pair of casuals made. Now, this Burgundy is one of the most beautiful casual shoes I've ever seen in my life. And what I love about pigskin is that really beautiful, soft and subtle visual texture. It's a brown with a little bit of dark brown patina, hand-sewn apron. I mean, just look how this strap sweeps back underneath the arch and then continues back and behind the heel. And this shoe is stunning. As I've said in the past, there's no limit to how many of these I could own. I have 4 different varieties. I could have 10 more. I think that if you find a pair of shoes or a model that you fall in love with, why not have it made out of like every material that your heart could desire? And that is kind of the route that I'm going on with these Burgundies. Okay, so after 2 pairs, I was beginning to get a little bit more sense into myself, and my third pair of shoes from George Cleverley, you might have guessed it, are these black Captoe Oxfords. Here you go. It is around this time that I started traveling to London more often for business. I was going into some of the clubs, and I actually commissioned this shoe back in, when was it? It was March 2015 to commemorate me getting into my club in London. I call this my club shoe, if you will, because this is the type of traditional, classic, and conservative shoe that is really the de rigueur in London, and that you would expect to be seen wearing kind of in and around St. James's. And again, after my experience, I'd say this is the shoe that I think most people should begin their bespoke process with. It's a very traditional Captoe Oxford. It's beautiful, and this is a shoe that I will enjoy wearing for the rest of my life. Now, I guess you could say one of the virtues of not having this as the first shoe is that we were allowed to kind of perfect some of the fit things in the last by the time we got this, and this shoe fits beautifully, and I absolutely love it. And as you can see, it's gotten a lot of wear. You can kind of see it on the outsole. But again, this outsole is still very firm. It's a testament to the quality of materials that are used in a bespoke shoe. It's got a black finishing on the bottom. I could probably polish these up a little bit with some cream dye. I might do that next. But look at these beautiful pair of shoes. They fit incredibly well. And you know, these shoes to me remind me of London. Okay, so in and around this time, I'm starting to travel to London more often. I've got my black Captoe Oxfords. I've got some interesting casuals. Where do I go next from that? Well, I like the idea of, again, black shoes, the versatility. I wanted something a little bit different, and so I went for these black Wholecut Lazymans. So these, again, are a very formal shoe, and it's got an elastic side right here, which makes them very easy to slip on. They're great for travel because they accommodate your foot as it swells. So what I like about this shoe is really absent the elastic side right here. This shoe is totally seamless, so it's a seamless hole cut essentially. And that makes it very formal. There's no medallion or broguing anywhere on the shoe, again, heightening the formality. With the beautiful mirror shine, these shoes would work beautifully with black tie even. But one other detail about these that is really unique is kind of the invisible welt, if you will. So basically the edges of these shoes are trimmed down as close as possible to the actual uppers, so that whenever you're looking down at the shoes, the welt or the edge all but disappears. That gives these shoes an added or a heightened degree of formality that makes them a beautiful and elegant evening shoe. These are probably as formal as they get. Okay, up next, we're getting even more interesting in my journey with Cleverley. So we got the basics knocked out of the way. The next question is what are those shoes that really you can only access bespoke, that really exemplify that bespoke process? And the next pair of shoes really does that, and that is a pair of seamless hole-cut mock Captoe Adelaides. That is a mouthful. Now, if you look at these shoes, to the eye, you know, they look like a traditional pair of Captoe Adelaides. So an Adelaide is where you have kind of the lacing cut out right here. But in fact, that is a play of the eye, if you will. This is, in fact, a seamless hole cut. So again, not a single seam on the entire shoe, not on the heel, all the way around. This is technically one of the most difficult shoes to make. Now, it's not a very plain seamless hole cut, and that's one way to have this shoe made, with no broguing on it at all. So the upper is brogued in order to give the appearance of a pattern, right? It looks like it's got a cap toe, and it looks like it has a separate vamp piece and a tongue and rear quarters, but really that is just decorative punching into the upper. It is still a single piece of leather. Now that is the most difficult type of bespoke shoe to make. What I love about these is they're kind of sleepers. I enjoy the subtlety of the bespoke detail here. But whenever I'm wearing these shoes, you know, to someone that really understands shoes and appreciates craftsmen, this is an incredible pair of shoes. So around this time, I'm continuing to travel, and let's take a little bit of a detour from George Cleverley. So whenever I travel to Europe, I normally go in through London and then depart through Paris. And I had always heard, and I think Hugo Giacomet from the Parisian Gentleman was the first to really mention him to me, well-known and well-respected Parisian shoemaker named Dimitri Gomez. Now, Dimitri Gomez is well known for being quite unique in that he is the only man that he employs. He does everything from the measurements to the last making, to the shoemaking, to the tree making. If you order a pair of shoes or commission a pair of shoes from Dimitri Gomez, his hands are the only ones that touch your shoes. Now that is quite rare, and it's kind of like having a bench-made, bespoke suit made, where the tailor kind of does everything. But even in tailoring, you still have a trouser maker and a coat maker. You've got multiple hands kind of touching that jacket. But with these shoes right here, only one pair of hands touched this entire shoe, including the fully lasted shoe trees. And those were the hands of master shoemaker Dimitri Gomez. Now it's black, it's still traditional, it's still conservative, but it's a slightly more casual, if you will, black Captoe because of all the broguing. Again, the more punching you put into a shoe, the more casual it is. Now this shoe is beautifully executed. He actually had to remake the first pair, so this is actually the second pair he made because the fit wasn't quite right. I have to say these fit beautifully. And there's a few details that are unique about Dimitri Gomez. The stitch density here on the outsole isn't particularly high. That gives this shoe additional durability. The other thing that's really unique about Dimitri Gomez is that he doesn't put any toe spring into his shoes. So whenever these shoes are standing flat, the toe does not lift up at all. Now it can make them a little bit uncomfortable to walk in because you walk kind of flat-footed, but whenever you're standing, these shoes look beautiful. They are so elegant. So look at that, no toe spring. Again, beautifully kind of stacked up heel. I mean, look at how this heel block just sits right underneath the back of the shoe. Absolutely beautifully done. Not a particularly narrow heel or narrow waist, but still well sculpted. And again, the slightly wider waist right here gives this shoe added stability. Another detail, and this was a little bit of a homage to me being American, is we had these made with 6 eyelets right here versus the traditional 5. Traditionally, American shoes like Allen Edmonds would have 6 eyelets as opposed to 5. And again, I just thought it was one of those small little bespoke details that I could work into these shoes to make them unique, interesting, and fun. Small detail to Dimitri Gomez. Let's veer back to Cleverley. After I had these made, the next pair of shoes I had made from Cleverley was another pair of pigskin Derbies. Now this is the second pair. You can see this is actually the oldest of all these right here, because remember the first pair was remade, and you can see that maybe it's stretching a little bit across the vamp. It's kind of an interesting, I guess, inconsistency in kind of the way that this shoe was made relative to the others. It's a little bit lighter in its construction, but a beautiful kind of burgundy. Again, something to dress things up a little bit, make them interesting. Same design, beautiful hand-stitched apron, nice kind of sweeping back strap right here. I especially love how it goes underneath this arch. And beautiful pair of shoes that I've really enjoyed, and as you can see, I've gotten a lot of wear out of. So trusty shoes again. I could have 10 more pairs of these easily made. So this was October 2016. So the next pair really was an iconic pair of shoes that if you're a George Cleverley customer, everyone should at least have one pair made, and that is the famous Russian Reindeer. So my next pair of shoes was a pair of Russian Reindeer split-toe Derbies. Slightly more casual shoe, again, kind of offsetting the formality of my previous shoes. And this shoe is incredibly unique because it's made out of Russian reindeer that was salvaged from a shipwreck that sank off the coast of Cornwall in 1786. So these shoes right here are almost as old as America. The leather in this shoe sank while sailing to Britain from Russia just 10 years later. I mean, the reindeer from which these were made could have been roaming Russia right around the time of the American Revolution. It's really just a mind-boggling story. What I love about this model is all of the handwork here. I mean, this detail right here up along kind of the facing of the shoe is sewn by hand. Again, the vamp is sewn by hand right here, or the apron is sewn by hand. One of the other details I like is kind of the reverse stitched split toe. So it's not sewn the same way as the apron, which I find is a little too heavy for the toe, but it still has that visual detail right here. And it's an absolutely beautiful pair of shoes that I get a lot of wear out, and you can really see it in the heel. I mean, this leather is quite old. It wears, let's just say, differently. It breaks in great, but it takes a little bit of extra care, and I probably need to spend a little bit of time on these shoes, shining these up. But a great pair of shoes. They'll set you back a little bit. They're more expensive than calfskin shoes. I think priced the same as cordovan, but absolutely beautiful and unique pair of shoes. So at this point, I'm really enjoying the Derbies. I love these shoes, and I figure it's time to have something a little bit more traditional made. Again, I've got the brown pair, I've got the burgundy pair, and as those that know me would certainly expect, I decided to have a pair of black Derbies made, but also in pigskin. Beautiful shoe. Again, it's a black casual, but it has the pigskin texture here, which gives it that visual detail and interest, making it a unique shoe. I have to say that between all my Derbies, and there's slight variations between all 4, again, they are all made by hand, is probably my favorite. I mean, just the way that that line is perfected here with that strap, It sweeps across, sweeps all the way back underneath the arch. You know, beautiful finishing here at the heel. I mean, nice kind of fine stitch density along the welt. I mean, this shoe is just perfectly executed. And of all my Derbies, I would probably say that this pair gets the most wear, just because, again, I'm oftentimes wearing more grays than I are browns, and these work so well. Now, we're coming to the end of my kind of George Cleverley collection here. And I guess I went for a Hail Mary, but that is a pair of Burgundy Derby alligator shoes. I have to tell you, I bought these without really knowing how much they cost, and whenever I got the bill, I was shocked. Look at these things. I mean, these are unbelievable, and you know, they were expensive, and that's kind of you know, shocking to say that whenever Cleverley actually has some of the most reasonably priced exotics of all the bespoke shoemakers. They don't really mark up the skins as much as other people do. So you pay a premium because, of course, alligator is more expensive than pigskin or calfskin, but you don't pay a ridiculous premium. And these still were north of $5,000. Now, these shoes are the shoes that I wear whenever I really want to make a statement. And what I love about them is that this burgundy color, you can still wear it with blacks and with grays, but with a nice kind of gray palette, you know, very conservative. These shoes pop, and I absolutely love them. They're the only pair of exotics I own, probably of my Derbies get the least amount of wear, just because they're so special. And I have to say, I enjoy these shoes. So there we are. Those are my George Cleverleys. We still have more shoes to go, and these are my Foster & Sons Semi-Brogues. Now, of all of my shoes, these are probably up there as one of my favorite pairs. They're exceptionally comfortable. Now, the first pair had to be remade, but I have to say on the second pair, they nailed it. And these, again, are a departure from everything else I have made. It is a brown pair of Captoes, which up to this point I hadn't really had made. Now look at the beautiful kind of shape of the toe cap. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. There's a nice kind of slight puff right here. The shoe is flawlessly executed, and Jim McCormick actually made these shoes, and he did it with 15 stitches per inch, which is an exceptionally high stitch density on the outsole, which gives it an additional touch of finish and tightness. As being one of my few pairs of brown lace-ups, I actually get quite a bit of wear out of these, and I think in the future I'll probably be having some more of these made. Absolutely splendid job here, and great shoes. Okay, so after that, let's veer a little bit to my next shoemaker, someone that, again, as a subscriber of this channel, you all know well, and that is the colorful Dominic Casey. So I've had the profound privilege of getting to know Dominic. We've got a lot of videos with him on this channel, and these shoes right here, we've seen them the entire incarnation through the lens of this channel. And so if you want to learn more about the bespoke shoemaking process, check out our Dominic Casey videos, because of all of our videos, at that time we really had established our YouTube channel and our studio, and we were able to capture the entire process from the first moment that I met Dominic and he measured my foot, to him beginning to make the last, and to finally delivering the shoes. So the first pair of shoes from Dominic Casey are these black Captoe Oxfords. Now, the first pair had to be remade, but he did it very quickly because he wasn't precisely satisfied with the fit. And that, again, is a testament to a great shoemaker, that if they look at it and they don't think it's perfect, they immediately insist on remaking it. He wouldn't have let me taken those shoes out of that delivery, even if I had attacked him with them. So this is the remake of that. So technically, I guess it's the second or third pair, but we're gonna just go with the first. Now, one of the things that we did is we knew, of course, my first pair of shoes was gonna be a black Captoe Oxford, but Dominic wanted to design a totally unique, one-off bespoke toe shape for me. So after a lot of work and kind of discussions together and back and forth, we arrived at what he calls kind of the Kirby Negroni Clubland toe. It has beautiful shape to it, but it also has vertical dimension too. So if you see that right here, I mean, sometimes if you have a particularly chiseled toe shape, it's got no real dimensionality to it, and this is just beautifully crafted. Now, what are the other details that Dominic really embellished this experience with? Well, Of course, beautifully executed, but as we go around to the back of the shoe, we see another really unique bespoke detail, and that is a totally seamless back. No seam. This entire piece right here is one piece of leather. Nice, slightly taller heel stack, beautiful shape and pitch. Again, those subtle details are really what set apart a bespoke pair of shoes. Look at this slight little swan neck right here. Again, another kind of bespoke detail. You see this in Edward Green's black Captoe Oxford. And very simple. I mean, just double stitching, all perfectly executed. Very plain, really, but anything but. Great kind of bottom finishing right here. And this right here is an absolutely beautiful and perfectly executed black Captoe Oxford. So Dominic really outdid himself with these things. So after these, the next pair of shoes from Dominic Casey, again, Captoe Oxford, using the same last, and that is these beautiful brown suede Captoe Semi-Brogues. Now, casual shoe, great with a brown pair of trousers or a pair of khakis or chinos on the weekends, but still beautifully executed, bespoke. They fit perfectly. It's got that same toe. Now, it's a little bit hard to see, again, just because suede is so flat in the light. It kind of absorbs all that light, but the exact same toe shape, the exact same silhouette, few modifications from the first pair and the last, and I have to say, these fit absolutely beautiful. Exquisite suede, seamless heel back here, no seam, perfectly structured. Heel stack sits nice and neat under the back of the heel, beautifully put together. And Dominic, again, is an exceptionally talented shoemaker that I look forward to having more shoes made. So let's see, that's most of the shoes on here. But another question that I receive often is like, okay, Kirby, that's great. I see all these beautiful formal dress shoes. But what about boots? What about less formal styles? So first up, we have a very unique pair of Cordovan Balmoral boots. These are from Carmina. And I have to say, I really don't particularly enjoy lace-up boots. I find that it's just a lot of work in the morning and in the evenings, and here in Texas, we really don't need that extra material right here to protect the bottom of the leg from the wind. I mean, traditionally, a boot like this would be a winter boot because it would help further insulate the body, especially at the trouser cuff from cold wind. Now, this boot has become kind of my New York winter boot. So traditionally, every year for Christmas, Nathaniel and I travel to New York, and this is the workhorse boot I take with me. It's beautiful, it keeps me warm. The Cordovan is exceptionally kind of water resistant, and so that's why my first pair of shoes from Carmina, I decided to go for a Cordovan pair. Now, what else do I wear casually? It's a great, great question. So let's look in the back. I've got a few additional shoes that I'd like to show you. Try to make some room here. I don't want to really be careful here. So two of my oldest pairs of shoes. So this is actually the oldest pair of shoes of the entire lot. This is a pair of Grinson hand-grade penny loafers that I bought in college, right? So these shoes right here, I hate to admit it, are pushing 20 years old. It is such a great testament that with proper care and with great construction, a pair of shoes can last you a lifetime. These are shoes that I literally expect to keep with me for the rest of my life. Even if I had a pair of shoes like this made bespoke, I still would hang on to these. Now, yes, they've been resold, I think, twice, but other than that, the uppers are in absolutely fantastic condition. These shoes have evolved, they have character, and these shoes right here really represent the beginning, if you will, of my love affair with fine footwear. So I still wear these things. They're still a part of my active rotation. You know, you might find me wearing these on the weekend or even to the office, and you'll see I've got my shoe trees in them. And these shoe trees are like several logos ago. So it just goes to show you that buy a pair of shoe trees, always keep them in that shoe, and they will keep the shoe really, from forming excessive creasing. Again, beautiful pair of shoes. Up next, again, another casual pair of shoes. I've had these shoes for an exceptionally long time. A pair of Belgian loafers. It is black suede with burgundy piping. I wear them predominantly without socks. I wear them to the grocery store. I wear them out to the kids' games. You can wear them with jeans. You can wear them with shorts. I mean, shoot, you can wear these with almost anything. They are so versatile. Now, it's a cemented sole, right? So it's not Blake stitched or not Goodyear welted. It's got a small heel. It's not a particularly expensive shoe or expensive construction. Probably retail less than $400. And these shoes, I wouldn't be surprised if they're a decade old. I mean, I really hate to bear the idea of having to replace these. I mean, yes, a cobbler might be able to repair them, but more likely than not, they just are gonna have to be thrown away. So at some point, these shoes will reach the end of their lifetime, and you can bet your horses that I will replace them with an exact replica of this shoe. I've worn them so much. 2 additional casual pairs of shoes that you'll probably recognize. Now these are another pair of shoes that I wear, I have to say, a lot, all the time actually. These are our replica Russian Reindeer Carmina Chukka boots. We actually have these on the website right now that are available for purchase. It was a part of a collaboration we did with Carmina. I learned about the replica Russian Reindeer from a shoemaking friend of mine in London. I think Crockett and Jones worked with J.F. Bakers to have this leather, I guess, reverse engineered. It's calfskin, but it's tanned in the same way as the original Russian Reindeer, and it has a very similar hatch grain to it, and it even almost smells the same because at the end of the tanning process, the leather is stuffed with birch oil, just like that Russian Reindeer. And anyway, these are a pair of Chukka boots and Carminas, and I have to say, I wear the living daylights out of these. If you see me wearing a pair of jeans or chinos on the weekend, you are more likely than not gonna find me in these trusty Chukka boots. Now, kind of on the opposite end of that is a nice pair of slippers. So these are slippers that I had made by Foster & Sons. They're not bespoke, they're made to order, if you will. Beautiful kind of blue velvet, but look at the monogram. So this is a custom monogram made by Hawthorne and Heaney in London. They're kind of a monogramming specialist. They do a lot of this type of work. This is a pair of shoes that I'll wear out at night over to a friend's house. You know, mixes things up a little bit. It's a nice alternative to a leather pair of shoes. They're casual. They're not particularly precious. I don't worry too much about them. That custom monogram gives them the touch of individuality that really just makes them unique. So I've got several pairs of these. I don't wear them a ton, but whenever I do wear them, I certainly do enjoy it. So look at these beautiful shoes. So this is a pair of Foster & Sons shoes that I have to say I snagged over the Christmas holidays on closeout. I think I was able to buy these for 60 or 70% off. Again, a shoe that I don't have in my wardrobe casual. It's a dark brown Derby, which again is that open lacing right here. And an absolutely beautiful pair of shoes that I have to admit I haven't worn yet, but I plan on doing it. I haven't worn it because we've been using these for videos. But again, this is a great testament to that you have to be a little bit opportunistic if you're building a wardrobe. I mean, as much as I love bespoke shoes, you can't have your entire wardrobe bespoke. I mean, at least overnight. It's gonna take even longer than a decade, or at least at the rate that I'm going. And so you still have to supplement your shoe wardrobe with ready-to-wear, made-to-order stuff like this. And this is a beautiful Goodyear welted pair of shoes that I really look forward to wearing. Next to those, we have another pair of slippers. These, again, are done out of cashmere, Dugdale Brothers cashmere, with a gold monogram right here. So again, Hawthorne and Heaney did this gold work. Really reminds me of London. So great pair of shoes, fun to wear them over to a friend's house, or if you have people coming over to your house and you're entertaining, great pair of shoes. And yeah, here we are, made to order from Foster & Sons. So there we are. 20 pairs of my shoes from my shoe collection. As you can see, it is a large collection. It's growing, it's evolving. I plan to add to this collection. And so that brings me to a question I want to ask all of you, which is if you were to have another pair or 2 or 3 pairs of shoes made, having seen my collection, what would you have made next? Also, if you have a favorite pair of shoes of the ones that I've shown you today, I'd love to know what those are. And if there's a pair of shoes that you dislike, that you think I shouldn't have ordered, let me know what those are too. It's always fun to see how other people would kind of approach building a collection of bespoke shoes. If you enjoyed this video, you might check out our video of my shoe collection from a few years ago to kind of see how it's changed. Otherwise, this is my shoe collection. I hope you enjoyed seeing it. I'm Kirby Allison, and I love to help the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes while exploring the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Thanks for watching. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's 21 pairs of shoes. I miscounted. It's not even 20, it's 21. Just goes to show you that I might have a problem.